What if I told you that your mood is not to be trusted? That feeling of, I don't want to do this right now. Feel that wind confirmation? And that's why today I'm going to teach you how to stop following your mood because it lies to you, and instead start following your muse. What is up, guys, and welcome back to Skinny Dipping the podcast. If you are new here, hi, I'm Kela Rose, and today we're talking about why the fuck the brain will convince us so badly, like, oh, I don't want to do that thing, I'm not in the mood for it, when in fact that's the thing that we need the most. And how do we create the devotion, right? If you've watched the episode Art of Devotion, this is kind of a follow-up to that. If you learn how to truly devote yourself to your muse, and we're going to talk about what the muse is, how to follow it, what are the actionable tips of how to actually follow your muse instead of your mood. Because yeah, we'll get into it, but the brain will resist discomfort, the brain will resist pain even at the smallest micro levels, and that's why we avoid the things that we know are best for us in the moment. And I wanted to dive into the concept of following your muse and not your mood. And of course, if you're new here or if you're just seeing us, hi, I'm Kela Rose. I am the podcast host of Skinny Dipping, and we've been doing this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts for a couple years now, and we have over 200,000 amazing subscribers across platforms, but we're new to YouTube, so make sure to hit the little subscribe button. And of course, comment. Like, anytime you comment, just like where you're from or where you're listening from, or if this is your first time listening, or just what you did while you listened to the podcast, if you cleaned, if you went on a hot girl walk, whatever it is, or if you just copy the link and send it to a friend or share on Instagram, like, it helps us so much so I can continue to create free content for you guys and truly pour into my research and pour into observing the ways of being a spiritual being within a human experience. And if you're new here, we love to talk about science and mental health, but we also love to talk about spirituality. And I truly believe that the intersectionality of spirituality and science has been the most profound way for me to learn how to understand myself. Because yes, we are a human body that requires the knowledge of science and our brain and our bodies to truly create our best lives for ourselves. But also at the same time, we are spiritual beings. And in that, there are things that are unexplainable. Feel this wind confirmation coming in the moment that I begin to talk about spirit, because the trees, the sun, it's all spirit, it's all God, it's all the universe, whatever you want to call it. I use all of those words interchangeably for myself. And yeah, if you're new here, I'm just super excited to strip down and dive in, metaphorically, of course, because this is skinny dipping. And today we're going to get into the science part of the brain and the mood and the body and why we should not be listening to that and not letting the mood dictate our decisions. And then we're going to dive into the spiritual part, the spiritual side, the muse, how to follow the muse, where this concept even came from. And then finally, we're going to get into the actionable steps at the end of the episode so you can actually apply this concept to your life, because I genuinely believe we can talk about this all day long in theory, right? We can be like, I need to do this for myself, blah, blah, blah. But it can become so lost in translation when we don't have tangible and actionable ideas on how to move forward with these concepts. So I always provide that for you guys. And if you have any more suggestions below, of course, if you receive downloads throughout the episode, which you will, because you are also an oracle, you are also the muse flowing through you, babe. Make sure to just comment on Spotify or on YouTube, wherever you're listening, and just share whatever is coming through for you, because the truth is that we all can learn from each other. And throughout these past 4 years of doing the podcast full time, I truly have learned that I learn the most from you guys and just having amazing conversations and this back and forth. I want this to be a conversation, not a one-way street. So I'm Kela Rose. This is Skinny Dipping. Feel the wind, and let's strip down and dive in. Follow your muse and not your mood. I'm just going to let you guys know I am not an official scientist, but I do love research and I love pulling from multiple sources. I love listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, reading peer-reviewed articles so that I can come up with the best information for you all, as well as TikTok. Honestly, I find a lot of amazing information on TikTok, but I always love to cross-reference it. So as we dive in, just know, like, this is surface level about like the brain and the science of this, but it is so incredibly interesting because from an evolutionary perspective, let's talk about the brain. Let's talk about the science. The brain will make any excuse to not be uncomfortable, because the brain operates in one of two ways. It's either moving towards pleasure, towards what feels good, or it's moving away from pain. And a lot of time, our motivation for doing things is motivated from that place of, oh, I'm moving away from pain. I don't want to feel that. And the truth is, even though it's not painful necessarily, going out to a social event, seeing your friends, going to the gym, that's low level pain. Discomfort is truly low level pain. And in that, the brain, the amygdala, this part of our brain, the region that says danger, still sees that discomfort as low level pain and therefore tries to avoid the pain. And in that, we need to look at it and be like, the brain is not always right, because me going to the gym is not dangerous. Me going and seeing my friends and being in a social setting, like although there might be social anxiety, it is not painful. It is not dangerous. So we need to work with our brain and reason with ourselves and be like, okay, just because this is uncomfortable and that I don't really feel like it right now doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it, because the brain actually lies to us, because the brain and the body and the way that we feel and our mood is so dictated by our state of being, right? And our state of being is affected by many different things, right? We have, if we've eaten that day, if we're tired, if we're feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, if we are having issues in our relationships, within our family or within our partnerships or within our friendship, all of those factors are contributing to our daily mood. And the mood is not who you are. It is ever changing. My old therapist used to say, like, you cannot listen to your mood because it's like the weather. It comes in, it comes out, it sprinkles, it rains, and all of a sudden, a couple minutes later, it is sunny. And that's the thing about the mood, is it is based off of so many different factors, whether that's relational and we are having, anxiety or things come up that are affecting our state because, we're having drama or issues, or we're scared somebody's mad at us. That can directly impact the way that you want to show up for yourself, because your mood is going to feel like you're down, like you're in danger, like something's going on. And then we have like the physical side, like, are you on your phone all the time? Is the blue light getting to your brain? Is the blue light from your phone and your computers getting to your mood? Because it is scientifically proven that it does. And then we also have to look at the factors of sunlight, exercise, hunger cues. And by looking at all of this, we realize that when we say, I don't feel like it, I don't really want to do this right now. The truth is, it's not always an accurate representation of what our soul, our true self, our higher self, our capital S self really wants. It's not a true reflection of what we know that we need. And this is so incredibly important to know. Because one, we're going back to the science, the brain avoids discomfort because it is low level pain. And two, we cannot justify how we feel or even truly trust how we feel, because our mood relies on our body's state, which relies on so many factors, which our mood is also being so deeply affected by the blue light, by the social media, and also even to the point of the water that we're drinking, the plastics in our water, the plastics in our food. Like, all of this is truly messing with our brain in a way I don't think we fully understand. And we don't understand how deeply affected we are, especially if you are a sensitive being, my love. If you are a sensitive soul, which I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you are definitely a sensitive soul, you're picking up on all these things. You may even be picking up on other people's moods. If you're really close with somebody, you live with somebody, you have a roommate, you have a partner that you live with, and you're really sensitive, you need to be grounding and protecting your energy. And just a little side note, the way that I do that is, closing my eyes and just imagining that there's this tornado field around me and really strengthening that, connecting to my breath, connecting to my body, imagining this white light surrounding me, and just saying out loud, I am protected, and I call back my energy cleansed and purified. Say it with me. I am protected, and I call back my energy cleansed and purified. And protecting your energy in that way, because if you are sensitive, you're going to be picking up on other people's emotions and moods, and you need to protect yourself, because the truth is we want you to be able to show up for yourself, but we can't always trust the mood, but we can also prep our body and prep our energetic field so that we feel like doing those things a little bit more. And then I think the third thing that comes in with following your mood, and the reason that we can't trust it, is because we have, what many of us like to call limiting beliefs. And what I wrote down here with the limiting beliefs is that sometimes for myself, I believe, if I don't really try, then it's okay if I fail. you know? If I don't really show up, then I have an excuse to be like, oh, well, I didn't do that. Oh, yeah, I don't really feel like I have that many close connections right now, but I haven't really been making an effort, you know? Just feels like you have a really, really good excuse. Or, oh, I don't have my like dream body right now, but like I haven't been going to the gym, so like whatever. And the truth is, like, we have these limiting beliefs sometimes that come up and say, oh, well, if I don't try, then it's okay if I don't get the outcome that I want because I didn't try in the first place. And I think it's about coming in, reframing, rewiring your brain and being like, honestly, this is bigger than me. Like the way that I show up for my friends, for my community, and create connection in that way, the way that I show up for exercising and going to the gym and moving my body, that impacts my work, my purpose, the way that I get to show up in the world. And even if we don't feel like it, we need to have a way to really come back to our center. And if you watch The Art of Devotion, instead of being disciplined and being like, you have to do this, it's about being devoted and being like, okay, I'm doing this because I know that's what's best for me. And even if I don't feel like it right now, I am going to tap into this muse. I'm going to tap into this higher being, this higher purpose, because I know that when I connect to that, I have this overwhelming amount of source energy that has the ability to flow through me, even if I don't really feel like it in the moment. And actually, when I do the opposite action to the thing that I didn't want to do in the first place, what happens is I actually feel better. I feel more energized. I feel more motivated. I feel proud of myself. I feel more confident when you do the thing that you didn't think you wanted to do. And I feel like the reframe that truly helps me get out of my mood and out of making decisions based on my mood and into the muse is this reframe. I'm tired right now. I don't want to go to the gym. But the truth is, even though I don't feel like it, the movement will actually give me energy. The movement will actually give me motivation. The movement will give me those endorphins. It'll give me that serotonin, that dopamine that I need for the rest of the day. Or if I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go socializing. I feel tired. I don't want to show up for anybody. Like last night, my best friend was teaching dance class and I was like day one of my period. And I was just like, oh my God, I do not want to go. But the truth is, like, she showed up for me so many times. I'm going to show up for her, because if you want a village, if you want connection, if you want community, be a villager. Like, the amount of people that complain about not having connection, but then they like don't show up for people because they're doing it in the name of like self-care or taking care of themselves or listening to their body. I feel like there is beauty in that, but when you're constantly using your mood and your feeling as an excuse to not show up for your community, it's just going to end up in loneliness, and it doesn't end up good. And that's why so many people are incredibly lonely. And the truth is, the reframe is, oh, socializing and going is actually going to bring me oxytocin and that feeling of connection. It's going to give me endorphins. It's going to give me dopamine. I'm going to feel connected and less alone. And that reframe is the motivation. So when that mood comes up, ask yourself, okay, like, do I need to listen to my body right now? Am I truly feeling burnt out? Am I truly feeling tired? Am I truly feeling like staying in and not doing the thing and rotting for a bit is best for me? Because yes, sometimes that is what is best for you. Rotting occasionally is good, but it's when you get into the habit of always choosing the rot and always choosing the bad mood and listening to that and making your choices based on that. That's when it begins to kind of spiral and become unhealthy for yourself, and you're no longer listening to your true soul and your true soul's needs. What you're listening to is your body's current state, as we talked about before, all the things that are affecting your body's current state. And it's just like, okay, maybe you just need some sunshine, some movement, some socialization, all the things that you don't want. Especially, I notice if I'm struggling a lot, I will be in self-isolation mode, and it's just like self-isolating does not do what you think it's going to do. It doesn't help you heal faster. In fact, I feel like we heal the most in community. We heal the most in connection. We heal the most by being seen in our vulnerability and in our wounding and in our wisdom through that. And the example that really inspired me for this episode was thinking about when I was a little kid, and I would come home from school and I would cry and tell my mom, I don't want to go to ballet. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to dance class. And she's like, girl, you're going. We paid for this. Like, there's no way you're not going. And I never wanted to go. And my mood always said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I have so much homework, whatever it is. And then I would go to dance class and I would always feel better. And because my mother had this parental energy where she was like, no, you're going to go, I created my own inner parent that also says, okay, we're going to go even when we don't feel like it. And the other day I actually taught dance class. I showed up and only one person showed up in the beginning, and I was like, okay, do we like not do this dance class? And both me and her were listening to our mood. We were like, wow, we don't feel like it right now. We don't really want to do it. She wanted to go home to her kids. I wanted to go home to my boyfriend. We just didn't feel like it. And then two more girls walked in and they were like, no, we're dancing. And we were like, okay, we're back. We're dancing. I'm teaching. Let's go. And by the end of class, both of us looked at each other and we were like, we are so grateful that we danced. We are so grateful that we did it because we feel so much better now. And that is the beauty of following your muse and following the art and following the movement and following the creativity, is that you always feel better at the end, and let that be your motivation. And how do we know when to honor our body's needs versus pushing through? Literally direct communication with you and your capital S self, okay? The capital S self, they talk about in internal family systems, and it's your compassionate self, your curious self, your connected self, your communicative self. When you're actually in communication with the different parts of yourself, the part that doesn't feel like going and the part that knows that it's best for you, allow those parts to talk to each other. Allow them to have a conversation. Ask yourself, check in, because sometimes you really do need to cancel and not do the thing, but you need to make sure that you're doing that 20% of the time. But if I were you, I've fallen into the trap where I follow my mood and it doesn't make me feel better, and I end up in a self-isolation spiral, and I don't fucking like that. So if I were you, I would make sure, if you're canceling listening to your body, that's about like 20% of the time. And when you actually follow the muse and do opposite action and just move forward with it and do the thing that's going to make you feel better, I would say go for that about 80% of the time. And if you feel like that's not the ratio, then you may be using your mood and just like the tiredness as an excuse. And I'm going to be really real with you, no bullshit. You're using it as an excuse, and it's not going to make you happier. It's not going to make you more joyful. In fact, it's just going to end up in a stuck spiral, and that's not what we want for you. So we are going to instead follow the muse and let the muse be our information. I love that I said information instead of inspiration, because I feel like when we're listening to our mood, we're following the information of the state of our body, right? But when we're following the muse, we're listening to the information from spirit, from source, from God, from the universe, from the creative life force energy that flows through all of us. So yeah, it's for inspiration for the muse, but it's also information that you're receiving, and you're taking that information and you're using it to make a choice. So what is the muse? What the fuck is the muse? What am I even talking about when I talk about the muse? This concept was taught to me by one of my best friends. I'm actually co-hosting a retreat with her in Bali, and she hosts retreats all over the world called House of Muse. And a couple of years ago, she was my pole teacher, then turned into one of my best friends. And now we don't live in the same place, but she's one of my greatest inspirations. And Madison Camino, I'm going to tag her right here so you guys can see her work. She has Silk and Earth, her brand. She has House of Muse. She is truly amazing at following the muse, listening to her spirit, and being devoted to her higher purpose. And you know, the truth is that she noticed, like, okay, like when she is in these moments of dancing on the pole or creating with her eco-printing Silk and Earth business that she does, she realized that it was flowing through her, that it wasn't always her. It wasn't always her making the calls or creating the ideas or taking the action. It was actually a muse flowing through us. And she realized, like, wow, everybody has a muse flowing through them. So what is the muse? I wrote down a couple words that I would say describe the ethereal description of the muse. The muse is the source flowing through you. The muse is creative life force energy that creates momentum for you to act. The muse is literally God, literally a form of God creating and flowing through you. The muse is your guiding purpose that creates devotion in your life to keep going even when you don't feel like it. The muse is your true embodied glowing self, not when you're listening to the part of yourself that is wounded or the part of yourself that is, you know, your inner child that's hurting. But no, it's the part of yourself that's your higher self. It's the part of yourself that is so deeply connected to your spirit, your soul, but also God, the universe, and just the true divinity that surrounds you in every single moment. The muse is effortless clarity. It just feels like flow state. It feels like when you're in flow state, when you're dancing, when you're creating music, when you're writing poetry, when that idea just hits and all of a sudden the business is flowing out of you and it's just flowing. That is the muse moving through you. And that's what I mean, follow the muse. Follow the muse, not the mood. Because the muse is when you're connecting to God, source, spirit, the universe, and also your highest self at the same time, because it's all intrinsically connected. When you follow your mood, you're listening to your body's state of being, and it's just not always truth of what you need in that current moment. And I'm just begging you to notice when you're making those choices, when you're making those decisions, are you following the mood or are you following the muse? And literally by posing simply that question to your brain and consciously bringing it to your awareness, you will notice that your state of being and the way that you make choices begins to shift basically by just bringing awareness. And that's number one of the actionable step, is when you feel that contrasting emotions come up, those different parts of yourself arise. Number one, you feel it come up and you're like, I don't want to do the thing. I committed to this thing. I committed to going to breath work. I committed to going to this event. I committed to going to this person's birthday party. I committed to showing up and recording my podcast and working on my business. But then you wake up and you're like, but I just don't feel like it. And my mood is tired and it's cloudy and I'm day 28 before my period or whatever is coming up for you. Okay. And the question I want you to ask yourself is, in this moment, do I follow my mood or do I follow my muse? And by simply bringing the conscious awareness in front of you and you're like, okay, then you can actually begin to look at it. And number two, the actionable step is beginning to have that conversation with yourself. The part of you, maybe the inner child that feels like you don't want to do it. And they're like, don't tell me what to do. And then your higher self that's like, I know that we need to do this right now because we are devoted to our purpose. We're devoted to our audience. We're devoted to the life that we want to create for our future family, for us, for our partner, for our future kids, whatever it is for you, whatever is that true motivation that creates devotion, come back to that muse, whether that's truly just expressing yourself and creating art, or you don't feel like creating art. Allow the muse to flow through you just for a moment. Just try it out, because when you begin to do this, eventually you just get into it. It's really hard to start, but once you're into it and the muse is flowing, it's really easy to continue. And then the third actionable tip that I would give for just practicing this little balancing act of muse versus mood and where to, make your decisions from. I really love creating days that I can do whatever I want. Like that I can just follow the muse, like a muse day where you just truly go ahead and you just follow wherever is pulling you throughout your day. If you really want to go to a coffee shop and write poetry, if you really want to go on a walk, if you just really want to go to your favorite spot in nature, whatever it is, allowing the muse to flow through you and just being like, setting an intention in the morning, having some tea or some water and speaking the intentions for the day into it and just saying to yourself like, okay, I'm going to follow the muse today. I'm going to follow the muse and may the muse flow through me. And by setting that intention, you will see that the muse will begin to flow through you and things will begin to just boom, boom, boom. And the creativity will begin to flow. Just wait. Just wait and see. I promise. It is magic when you set your intention. So number one, bring it to your conscious awareness. Number two, have a conversation with the different conflicting parts of yourself. And number three, make sure you create days where you get to practice following the muse. I love you guys so much. This is the end of the episode. Comment below if you have any other ideas for following the muse. I'm Kela Rose. This is Skinny Dipping. Make sure to tag us on Instagram. And so we know, that you guys are listening. It always makes my day, and follow along. And I can't wait for you guys to see the rest of these episodes. I love doing this with you. And make sure you comment any episode you want me to record, because I love listening to your guys' ideas and you all inspire me. You are inherently fucking worthy, and you don't have to do, be, or achieve anything to be worthy. I promise you. Follow the muse, not your mood, and watch your life fucking change. Bye, guys.